Do you love natural and organic sounding drums in rock and metal? Then this is your video. If you are tired of drums sounding like drum machines and samples only, then you probably should meet this guy. This is Gomez, the producer, who has worked with bands like Mayhem, Behemoth, Opeth, Primordial and Ghost, and who's known for his very organic and vibey sounding productions, known for getting drum tones that are natural yet powerful. Today we're going to dive into the drum world of Gomez. He's going to show us how he mixed the latest release from My Teenage Heroes in Paradise Lost, the re-recording of their classic Icon album. Let's do that now. Let's have some fun together and let's get a little more organic, everybody. Here we go. I recently visited Gomez in Portugal in the studio where he was working on the mix of the re-release of the Icon record, and we filmed an entire mixing course, an entire mix walkthrough where he shows you every part of that mix and where he shows you his what he calls bastardized multi-bus mixing system with a lot of analog gear and a lot of digital plugins. Very, very interesting concept. The course also includes the multi-track, so you can mix a Paradise Lost song yourself, the original multi-tracks. You can get a mix review from me. We are about to watch a part of that course where he talks about especially his overhead and his room microphones on the drums, because I felt like that was really interesting, how he processes them and also how he sends them into different buses and different parallel buses, and it all adds up to something bigger. Right now it's time to have a look at a snippet of the Paradise Lost mixing ritual. Enjoy!
Okay, so I'm gonna show you how the drum sound ended up being like. It's again all going to like different buses, which I'll explain, but this is the drum mix. I like very natural drum sounds. Usually I spend a lot of time tuning and getting the right sound from the source. That's everything. Yeah, I'll just give you a rundown of what I did recording wise. My overheads, I used a pair of Kohle UM90s, I think they're called. They're tube mics and they are super smooth. I also mic'd up the hats on the right and the china because sometimes, you know, they get a bit lost. Overheads, I'm doing some EQ here, like quite a lot of EQ because I use a lot of room mics, and I find it's a bit of a trade-off sometimes between the rooms and the overheads. Sometimes the snare really bugs me on the overheads. Sometimes it doesn't. In this instance, it did. So I try to kind of get it out as much as possible. I got the L1 because the snare again was kind of bugging me. Just try to like do the classic L1 where you just get the transient out a bit and just get more even sound of the cymbals. If I was recording something that didn't have distorted bass and guitars, I probably would have used a lot more of that sound because they do sound really nice when processed. They never have gone to my drum bus because I really don't like the sound of compressed overheads, like that crunchy, splashy sound. It doesn't work with the way I work. So these are literally going straight to my mix bus. So yeah, kick, snare, toms, overheads. Then when I move into my room mics, generally speaking, I always have 3 pairs of room mics. One thing that literally gives me depression is mono room mics. Please always record stereo. Room mics, you can always mono them in the mix, but I just find that room mics is where I want to get my sense of space, and yeah, of course, sometimes I just want this mono, crunchy quad stop, but I like having the options. I always have a pair of ribbons close-ish to the kit. I would say about 2-3 meters from the kit. At the moment, I've been using the AA R88. I put it like not directly in front of the kit, but more on a parallel thing, so you get a better, you don't get too much of like kick and snare on one side. Okay. So I just kind of move it around a bit until I find a bit of a sweet spot. Then my close room mic, which is this AA R88 ribbons, very cool. I always have them a little bit lower because what I want to do is get more of the shells rather than the splash of the cymbals. Yeah. So I always have my room close. I find it very useful mic to just get that meat of the drums. Sometimes I feel like when you do your drum mix, it feels a bit disconnected, even with the overheads, and I find that a closed room just kind of makes it sound more like a kit again. Then I have a room far. I used a pair of JZ67. I really like those mics as well. Very, very versatile and useful. Kind of far away from the kit. That was on Bloomline, facing the opposite wall, with a pair of gobos behind it. And what I like to get from this, like from my far room microphones, is more of that kind of fast, kind of slap back of the room. I always used ambience mics. In Oregon, it was a pair in the kitchen of the studio, which was all brick. And here in Arda, they have a reverb chamber. So it's a more fancy version of the kitchen that also has a very long reverb, the reverb chamber in the live room. So when I mic'd it up, I actually put some panels, some absorbers, gobos, behind the mics just to dampen, just to shorten the reverb a bit. Because it does sound like a very long, super nice reverb, the chamber, but I do that with artificial reverb for drums. So I just want to get more of like I want my close, medium and large, natural sounding room kind of tone. So my room close, I will show you that. Sounds like this. This is basically, I just want shells and meat. And then with the room far, I still use the time adjuster just to make the room sound a little bit bigger. So 611 samples is here. The cymbals they do get a little hard on this mic, so I'm using Soothe, quite a lot of it. So this is more like quite wide, quite bright. I'll take the Soothe out. Yeah, sure, it's bringing some of that Soothe artifacts. And then the reverb chamber, and I'm using Soothe again because I just want to eliminate as much cymbal as possible from my room mics. It's actually not, it's not too harsh, but you know, I'm also using a lot of microphones on this kit and it all adds up. This is a combination of things and nothing is being like pushed super hard and nothing's gonna be super exposed. So I am doing a little bit of gating on them, just to try to get more of the snare and the shells. I'm EQing them all together as well. I find with room mics, there's a lot of like mid-range and information that it can be very nasty for this kind of music. Just really want to like the splash of the snare on this more than anything. Okay, so drums without rooms. And with rooms. My rooms get a bit louder because I have a parallel mix that I do as well, and that has a lot of room, and that's also blended into it. It's just more things going into more things. I'm sending mainly kick and snare, I think only kick and snare, and that's going to an overstayer unit. It's more like a compression and harmonic distortion, and I bring it in just to when I feel like I want a bit more squeeginess of the snare and the kick. It sounds like this. Actually, I have kick, snare, and toms on this, and the cymbals that you hear is most likely bleed. Without it, it all comes a little bit forward. It's subtle, but I like it, and that's kind of when I'm feeling like, oh, I just need that little extra. And then I do another mix in Pro Tools, which is kind of weird because it'll be all pre-fader, so it's a very different tone. That has a lot of compression, like a lot. I'm using the onboard dynamics of the AWS, which are assignable to any channel. I'm doing basically fast attack, fast release, slamming it, and for this I do like sending the room mics just to get that kind of more explosive room thing, and it sounds like this. I do a submix from the Oxys here in Pro Tools, and I just send those. So I send them a little bit of kick, then I'm sending a bit of snare, then I'm sending quite a bit of toms, no overheads, and I'm sending room mics. They output in this drum submix channel. Actually, I'm using this distortion as well as a lot of compression. I do quite like this plugin when I feel like I'm losing the body of the drums. I like the flat, the low, so it doesn't give you the distortion on the top end, just kind of distorts the more of the low end. I hate cymbals basically. Yeah. I mean, I think we all do. So yeah, so this is going, before it goes out, it's got this. That's why when I solo my room mics, as I was saying, it doesn't sound like I'm using a lot of it because I'm using a lot of it here. And so altogether, they sound like this. And I like that I can hear all the ghost notes there. Yeah. And it's very detailed. It sounds like a real drum kit to me. It's very processed. I'm a huge fan of the late 90s expensive rock records, things like Soundgarden, Smashing Pumpkins. I have this really cool thing that I did in this particular project during the tracking session. I just wanted to get that kind of old school lexicon thing. The snare bottom, that's going to the PCM 70. It sounds like this. There's a very famous setting on that called the tiled room, I think, or room tiles, tiled room. It's that, and it's very cool. I'll probably do that more often because it also helps with some of the ghost notes to get the wires not to sound too disconnected as well. I also have ROM reverb here. I'm using a Bricasti M7. I'm not using a lot of it because I already got so much going on. But yeah, this reverb is really great for realistic sounding stuff. I filtered it because I don't want more junk, and I'm compressing it as well with the fab filter stuff. So I'll play without the recasting now. And with it. It's a nice longer reverb, and yeah, it's a very good sounding unit. To make this kind of sound to blend in with very big guitars and bass, distorted guitars in particular, they just take like 60% of a mix. When I'm doing my drum mix, I always have some guitars and some bass going on. I find that if I just mix drums in solo, it's just like, then I bring my guitars in and my bass and say, oh, what happened? Yeah, right. I think it's really good to have some context. And I actually didn't show you how the drum sound in context with the music. So here we go.
All right, I hope you enjoyed what you've watched. Once again, click the link below. There's a full course inside my academy, Kohle Audio Cult, where Gomez walks you through the entire mixing process and where you can download the original multitracks of the song, mix the song yourself, submit your mix, and get a mix review, a personal mix review from me. That's how it works inside Kohle Audio Cult. And if you are lucky, you can even win some really cool prizes from Get Good Drums. All their plugins and all their drum samples are yours if you submit an awesome mix of this Paradise Lost song, okay? So yeah, that makes it even better. As usual inside Kohle Audio Cults, many people don't know that. You can either get just a course, and that's it, or you get the Kohle Audio Cult membership, which means you get all our courses. That includes the Nolly drum course, that includes mastering with Ermin Hamidovic, that includes, I don't know, mixing a Motorhead song, and so many more. Also like basic courses, guitar tone courses with me, includes 2 free plugins, IRs, a lot of cool stuff. So, you know, it's up to you. Anyway, check the link below. There's a landing page that explains it all and that describes the course, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I think this is a very, very interesting opportunity. That's all for today. Wibbity will be back with another video very soon. The next one will be about guitars again. But in the meantime, make sure to subscribe to this channel and to ring the ding dong bell. I see you in hell, my friends, motherfuckers, and everybody else. Bye-bye.